Hello there, my lovely Lego addicts, and today the video that I asked questions about like 2 weeks ago will be made, and you'll see this in a week or so. So timely. Basically, I've been wanting to make one ever since I hit 10k, but it just took me a little time to get around to it. But thank you so much for everybody that sent me some questions. There are some really good ones here. I'm going to do my best to answer as many as I can. Let's go! We're going to start with the Lego category because let's be honest, like most of the questions were Lego related, obviously. Let's get started. We have a question from Polar Bricks who asks, what's your favourite hidden rarely seen part of your Lego city? Well, I'm really glad you asked because that is actually a really easy answer. I mocked my corner garage like way back when. I'll link it in a card because I'm really happy with it. But I made a record store in the what used to be the garage part, and because of where it sits currently in my city, which is kind of like around the corner there, you can't really see it, not on video as you can tell. I had to move my camera angle for it, but also just generally even when I'm sitting here looking at it behind the Calyx unit like division, so I don't actually get to see it very often at all. You have to really make an effort, and that is probably my favorite hidden thing because I really think that turned out really well, and I think it looks awesome with the lights in. So yeah, that one. Next up, Brick from Baron actually has 2 questions. The first one is, if you could design the next minifigure series, what would they look like? This is so easy. I was like, I'll answer both of your questions, Brick from Baron, because I want a minifigure series for Lord of the Rings so we can get as many characters as possible, as many elves as possible. I need them all. I like it to be many series long so you get everybody, we get different outfits, you know, like just like the Harry Potter series. Please, thank you. That is what I want. Second question is, what minifigure accessory do you wish existed but doesn't currently? I don't think this exists, okay? I genuinely don't, but I know there's a brick build way you can make these and I've done it very often, but I want a dedicated Lego shopping bag. So I know you can make them because I've made them a few times. If you use one of those tiles and a modified plate, you can make a Lego shopping bag. But I want a printed, like, one that actually looks like a Lego bag, and I want different sizes. Next up, ArcGM asks, which Lego set that isn't minifigure oriented or minifigure scaled is most interesting to you? So this is obviously a super difficult one because I really, as you can see around me, like, everything is a building here. I really like minifigure scale. It's really just what I purchase. I'm just gonna exclude the Hogwarts castle because it's still sort of minifigure related. Yes, I know it's not minifigure scale, but it's still a building and they've just scaled the minifigures down to microfigures. So I feel like I'm gonna just exclude that for now. I think if I'm really honest, the only one that I can really think of, and actually that I absolutely adore, is the Van Gogh set. That artwork is just vibrant, colourful, wonderful. I actually have it hanging in my entrance hall. It's like literally the first thing you see when you come into my house. I love that set. I think it's beautiful. Alright, next up is Liana de Zutter who asks, is the cost of making meals worth it, or do you sometimes regret spending that much on plates? Honestly, to me, yes, it's really worth it. Basically, all the plates that I have are 16 by 16 and I ended up getting them from a lot of used places, a lot of like Lego share groups and things on Facebook. Yes, it was pricey, but because when I moved, had my buildings not been on Mills plates, that probably would have been hellish. Let's just be honest. There's other benefits to Mills, of course, but having them on Mills plates made such a massive difference because they can't warp from underneath, so they can't come away from the base plate. It was sturdy, I could hold them like that, I could move them about, especially the bigger sets like the Ninjago sets. Like, if they had not been on Mills plates, that would have been painful. They already sit really high up in my city, so it's already helpful just to get them up on the shelves, but when I moved, it was totally worth the money. And also just when I rearranged a city, it's really useful to have them all Mills plates. Just, it's so much easier to maneuver things. It makes a lot of things way easier. And the other benefit of Mills is that you get to play with heights of the modulars compared to each other. You can add steps, you can have those platforms, and that's kind of what I've done in my city. And that's one of the things that, like, yeah, it's worth it to me. Next up, Tyson asks, if you have a set and you're not going to display it anytime soon, do you part it out to put in your parts bins or bag/box it up and store it somewhere? Well, I'm a bit divided on this, if I'm honest. So obviously you know that sets value is based on it obviously being complete and existing. So I sometimes struggle sorting sets into my parts, because then I'm like, well, the moment it's in my parts bins, I'm unlikely to ever make that set again. My value proposition changes. So at the moment I have a box upstairs of various sets that I've taken apart or I'm not displaying, that is just gathering dust, figuratively speaking, because obviously I've protected them from the dust. Could have sorted those into my parts bins and actually used the parts of them. I think that is basically where to draw the line. If I want to display it, maybe not right now, but because of room, but if I could, I would. I'm keeping a set together, but if I'm never going to display it again, either I try and sell it or I sort it into my parts. That is mostly my approach to that. I hope that makes sense. Next up, Triton Lego Railway asks, question, if given unlimited space, what Lego display theme would you build? Giant city, railway layout, desert planet, etc. So, I mean, unlimited space, holy crap, like, I don't even know, I think, what is that? I think what I would really love to do, and I'm trying to maybe do this in my new room, I don't know yet, is I would like to have either like a big U shape or like a zigzag space. It would be really cool to start from one point, start with a theme, and then there is like a train or a pod or something that moves along that changes, and then as you go along the landscape changes from theme to theme. So I'd start with like Hogwarts, train, there's Hogsmeade Village, there's the Burrow, there's the Dark Forest. Hey, the Dark Forest is now like a camping place, and there's like the treehouse, the A-frame cabin, and now, oh, like we're in Lego City now, like all the modulars, and then basically like that. So have it all progress from thing to thing, from Lego City to maybe like a castle, which on one side is like, you know, when you go into like a historic city, you visit a castle there, but then on the other side it's actually a medieval castle, and then you go into a medieval village and it becomes medieval, and just like that. I think if I had unlimited space, and I think if you had a moving train going through all of that constantly back and forth, or ideally in a loop, then that would really just tie it all together. That is what I love. That is a crazy amount of space though to properly execute that, but I'm hoping to maybe do something like that in my city, at least with the forest and like the city, and maybe in something else. But that has always been something that I wanted to execute, and that's always something that I've wanted to do, because I really want to integrate some of the Harry Potter stuff more like securely into my city display, which is where most of my time and energy mocking goes. So if we can do that, that would be amazing. The next question is from Maxa385, who asks, what would be the Lego set that you would build over and over again? Basically, you never get bored building. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there's probably no Lego set that I'd ever get not bored of. Like, if you build something 20 times, you're gonna be like, yeah, I know how this built. Okay, I'm done now. Because I've obviously very recently built Rivendell, and I absolutely love it. It's such a fun build. But there's a few at once actually contending for that title. I think Rivendell's obviously definitely one of them, but then there's also the Hogwarts Castle, which is a really fun build. It's huge. And then also really any of the Ninjago sets, especially Ninjago City or Ninjago City Gardens, because they are just like any of the modulars, they have interiors, and if you've displayed them for long enough, you kind of forget what the interiors look like. So if you rebuild them, then you go, oh yeah, I forgot about all these little cute details and like awesome little things. So all three ideally in a nice rotation actually, yeah. So the next question comes from Just for Fun channel 5789, and they ask, how do you give originality to a Lego setting using official Lego sets and not mocks? What is your approach on that? Originality is a fun term, because I have had comments in the past of like, oh, you're just using official Lego sets, this is so like same, but I've tried to kind of put my own stamp on them by basically creating the exterior of them. I often, like, the trees are kind of what I like. I've created plazas around them, parks, minifigure settings. I honestly think minifigures make the biggest difference in any city, because you can create personalities and a feel to your city and add little Easter eggs and all that kind of stuff, especially for you in a city that you like. I also think that having the park in the center of my city gives it the feel of like, oh yeah, this is Brooksworth. Like, I know the city. This is like the one that Johanna made, because the park is like really eye-catching and everything else is kind of like a background more or less. So I think having main eye-catching things like that really help. And if you don't have space for your own park or anything like that, if you just change the sidewalks a bit with like the trees that you like, the minifigures that you like, adding little scenes, that can make such a massive difference. So definitely adding trees, adding figures, like that brings the personality. The next question is actually something that I really wanted to answer because I have some ideas for this, which is VeekLeak7535 asks, if you were to display Lego sets from the ceiling, what sets do you think would work and how would you go about that? I've not actually done that yet. I was planning on possibly doing it in this room because I now own this house, so I can do that. I ended up not doing it yet, but I would really like to suspend Amelia Earhart red plane above the city because I think it's a really nice plane and I think it would look really cool just suspended like in front. What I probably would use is some fishing wire because it's very thin and it kind of blends away a little bit, and just a little hook in the ceiling. The Amelia Earhart plane isn't very heavy. I think just the hook, even just in the plasterboard, would be strong enough to hold it. But if you want heavier sets, obviously make sure that they're in studs or like anything more solid because you don't want them to come down. That would not be good. So I'm hoping to kind of create a little harness for it and then have it go up to the ceiling like in a sort of triangular way so it can't move too much. I think for Star Wars stuff it could look really cool. I've seen one of my members at one point, I think, showed a picture of his desk and he had various of his Star Wars ships suspended on one side of his desk, so it felt like space and they were all like properly spaced and it was awesome. So that was really cool. So the next question comes from Konstantin Konstantinov, hopefully I said that right, 3117, and they said, are you planning to build the Lego city with trains? Such would require tables, but seems that your new Lego room is more suitable for shelves. So I don't think at the moment I'll have a train, or at least not a movable train. I may eventually integrate the station, the Stuttgart station, which I do own, and like have the rails go off the table in a way so there's not a full circuit. I would really like trains. It was definitely in my original, like when I first started planning my new Lego room, that was definitely a way where I could have like bridges connect a whole Lego city train loop, but I ended up just going away from that because a build space and a build table was more important. It's one of the things that I've had to sacrifice and I think it's sad. However, I do still have my tram, which is not as obvious in my city generally, but I do have my back and forth tram, so I really want to keep something like that. Maybe when I have a corner, I'll have one go around the corner, but we'll have to see. I do want to see if I can create something with trains because I do actually really like my trains. All right, that is it for questions about Lego specifically. But now we have Lego adjacent questions, and we'll just go Lego adjacent with YouTube. First one comes from Boulder Bricks, who asks, what keeps you motivated to keep up your videos and thinking of new content, especially as you work full-time? What an excellent question, and I have to be really honest, it changes week on week. There is definitely weeks where I'm like, the YouTube stuff feels like a job because I am tired. I've just come back from a really long day and I'm like, I still need to make something for YouTube. And since I've started carpentry, I definitely have had way less time. So fitting everything in has basically meant that I don't really have a lot of time for myself, which sometimes is a problem. But I've also started a Lego room, so I'm either working on the Lego room or working on YouTube. There is very little actual relaxing time, which yeah, gets to you sometimes. However, genuinely, I'm not just saying this, the reason that I keep going, because there's definitely been a few times where I've been sort of going like, what am I doing? I'm just shouting in a void. The members keep me going, the community, genuinely. Just the fact that I get so many lovely comments, the fact that I can go onto my Discord and just chat to like the loveliest bunch of people, and we're all super excited about like plastic bricks and what we can make with them, and it's just really, really heartwarming. And yeah. Oh man, it makes me like emotional straight away when I talk about it, but genuinely the community, especially the Discord, is just one of the things that just I want to keep going for you guys. So next up, there was actually quite a few questions about the carpentry job that I do now, because I kind of just randomly mentioned at one point that oh yeah, I'm doing carpentry now. And people were like, you do what now? Yeah, I should probably answer some questions on that, shouldn't I? So Alan asks, on a daily basis, how many splinters do you get? Which is a very fair question, and honestly, Alan, it's not null. I tend to wear gloves when I work because it just helps protect my hands. So I had quite a few really nice carpentry questions from the lovely Hiker1392, who has actually been on this channel for ages. Hi. He says, 1, how do you become a carpenter? Do you just apprentice to someone, or there's other training? There is many ways. So I want to point out that because of my situation, I wasn't able to do like an official apprenticeship or go to school for it. And this is part of the reason why I haven't tried kind of doing a trade before, because I've always had the need to earn money enough to pay my own bills and to live and pay for my car and things like that. When I first moved to the UK, I was hoping to maybe do an apprenticeship, but the money that they paid didn't allow me to live here, and I didn't have the opportunity of living at home or somewhere where I didn't have to pay rent, so that was out of the question. And that kind of basically made me think, okay, well, I can't really do this then. So I've always worked. Luckily, through this channel, in fact, I met a lovely guy called Ollie, and he does fittings for various wardrobe companies and his own private work. And after we became quite good friends, and I basically expressed my interest in like what he does and said that's something I would really love to do, he eventually mentioned that he wouldn't mind teaching me and taking me on as an apprentice, which is super generous because there is absolutely no other way for me to have done this. So I actually still earn enough so I can, you know, pay my bills every month and live, which is, you know, generally quite helpful. And I'm just learning on the job, so I'm not going to school for it, I'm learning from him, and I'm trying my absolute stinking best to learn as much as I can as quick as possible, and I think we're doing pretty good. The second question is, what was your career prior to carpentry? Which is funny, I've done quite a lot of different things, if I'm honest. So I've been in marketing before I went to carpentry for about 3.5 years. It was kind of something that I enjoyed when I had my cake business before that. So I used to have a tiny cake business and baked for like some shops around me and privately from home. I didn't have an actual premises, I did it from home. And I really enjoyed the aspect of like making logos and stuff, so I decided, oh, maybe if I need to actually have a job again, because it's quite nice to have a stable income, I should do marketing, because I really enjoyed that. But I've worked for a National Trust as well. I've been in catering before that. I've sold memberships to National Trust. I've been in like a conferencing centre, like digital conferences. It's been a wild journey, you know. I've done many things. And now I'm doing carpentry, and I think it's probably partially to do with the fact that I really enjoy learning new things. I feel like with every single job that it may not have fitted me in the end, I've always learned a lot, just generally about the world, about people, about just a lot of interesting skills and knowledge that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And I really like knowledge, I really like new things. It just makes me really excited. So in general, I have a really random skill set, but the carpentry so far has been really good. It's so intensive, and there is a lot about the way self-employment works in the trades that I think is ridiculous compared to like the security of a full-time job at a company, especially the way that a lot of systems that we've built in order to get houses, in order to get like help, really don't like you when you are self-employed. But I could say a lot of things. So yeah, but basically that's how I ended up in carpentry after my random journey. And his third question, carpentry related, was, would you consider doing a second channel about your carpentry journey? And if I'm honest, there was a time where I was considering that, because it's kind of interesting and it's not unheard of, but it's definitely not as common to be a woman in trades. But the real reason that I didn't do it is because I don't think I feel comfortable learning this whole new trade and then also opening myself up to a lot of comments from people. So I decided not to do that. But I think with my Lego room building journey, there's like quite a lot of little bits in there that hopefully are going to be fun for people, and hopefully will inspire people to just kind of try and like know that it's an option for them. So I don't know, I hope that works. And then there was just like a few just personal life questions that I thought were kind of interesting, so I thought, do you know what, let's get into this. So Ulrika asked, what would you recommend to people moving their Lego collection? And actually this is a super quick answer because I did it recently. I think if you're moving your Lego across the country or further, wrap them in cling film or like put them in a bag. So basically, if they break down, and likely small items will come off them, they will fall into one container and you can just pick them out and put them back where they belong, because inevitably it's going to happen, and it's so much easier if they can stick to the place where they came from, so you can just put them back on than randomly fall in the bottom of a box where you have 5 other things and you don't know where they came from. Secondly, have them on Mills plates. It makes it so much easier. Put them upright, drive carefully, and it will be okay. It's just quite daunting. Buildings are easier for sure. Then Phil Station asks, what set from your childhood do you have the fondest memory of? Which I love, and actually I've answered this ages ago in my Who Am I video, because the whole reason I started collecting Harry Potter Lego was for nostalgia's sake. It's the 4757 castle, the Hogwarts castle. I love that set. I still have it. I'm not going anywhere. It's just this set from my childhood that I love, and just I can't believe I got it as a gift and I was like over the moon with it. And then also the Hagrid's hut for the same reasons. Both those sets hugely nostalgic to me and I love them. Then we have Creator 3SS asked, how is your Harry Potter Great Haul? Which is a funny question, because that is for some reason a video that did really well out of proportion compared to all my videos, especially at the time. And actually it's sat on my shelves for a really long time, but a few months ago I decided to basically pass it on to new hands. So I have sold it to the lovely Ulrika, passing on the Harry Potter flagship to another Harry Potter fan, hoping that it would make them happy and it would basically live on a second life. So I don't actually have it anymore. Then Miss Zojaji asks, what do you miss the most since living in the UK? Which I actually didn't realise I had an answer until I read that question, and the first thing that came to my mind is I miss cycling. I really miss just being able to jump on my bike and basically going anywhere without having to genuinely fear for my life or hitting 20,000 potholes and falling off. Honestly, the fact that the Netherlands is so easily accessible by bike and just public transport, I miss it. It's really nice and freeing to be able to just jump on your bike and go somewhere without having to jump in your car and just, I don't know, I really miss that. Badaman2251 actually asked some funny questions, which is, what is the Lego theme you won't touch? And well, it's obviously Star Wars, because I don't care about Star Wars. And then also just generally anything that I don't have already, I try not to touch, because it'd be really easy to go down too many rabbit holes, and I've already gone down too many rabbit holes, so I'm trying to stick with what I have right now. And then the last question, which is a bit more of a serious one, is E443 Productions 9 asks, how do you budget to keep the hobby afloat? First of all, YouTube helps, because if it wasn't for YouTube, I generally would not have any budget. At the moment, I made the very unwise decision to build a Lego room, which is costing basically every spare penny that I have. So that's why I really haven't bought that many sets. And this year I've definitely basically have only been buying the main ones that I really wanted, and I've been saving up for them over various months. This year it's felt like quite difficult to keep up, and I don't think I've done a very good job of keeping up. There's a reason there's not that many live streams, okay? There is no live streams because I haven't got things to build. Because mocking on a live stream is like so hard, especially in my room, because I have to keep walking back there. Once the Lego room is done, there is going to be so much awesome time and hopefully a bit more budget for actual sets, and it's going to be amazing. So that is basically how I budget for things. So I hope you find this interesting. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you super soon, you lovely people. Goodbye! Howdo! Mary's decided to join me here and help me with editing, which is very kind. Thank you, Mary. Some very unusually lovely behaviour of you. You don't usually like being near humans. Is it because there's some hot air string coming at you and it's nice? Why are you so adorable? Oh.